any questions on the digestive? Okay. Now it looks like I don't have any time to start lecturing on the reproductive. So because it's 10 o'clock, by 11:15 I have to finish lecturing urinary. Then all of you guys can move to that room and then we can take the exam. Okay. Once you're done with the exam, you're free to go. Okay. So next week's exam, not next week, when you guys come back. Okay, next time I see you guys, the exam is on urinary and digestive only. Now, I already uploaded these handouts where the first few pages it says chapter 23 lymphatic system. You're not responsible for that. It's just a PDF file. It's chapter, I think 24. Okay, chapter 24, which tells respiratory system. That's the handout you are responsible to know. And any questions for the respiratory system will come from this handout. Now there is, I believe, digestive as well. If you want, you could read up on the digestive. Whatever there is. Yeah. Yeah, because I have to eat. Okay, your clinical thinking. Listen up. Your new clinical thinking for this week hasn't been uploaded. I still have to make it. So as soon as I make it somewhere, by Thursday afternoon, you should have it. But I'll try to do it on Wednesday or even earlier. Okay? As soon as I upload it, I will send you guys a message out. Now, it will still be due, it will be due on Monday. We'll keep it for Monday. I know you guys don't have class, but I have to upload the answers for my other class. Therefore, your guys' assignment is still due not on Sunday, or not on Saturday as you usually do. It's going to be due on Monday, which is the 26th, by 12 o'clock. Because at that time, I'm going to post the answers for my Tuesday class. So I need all of you guys to have worked on it and okay? Lab sheets, you could do it. Yeah. Okay?
Monday, 12 in the afternoon.
Yes. Yes. Okay? So if you're going to know you're going out, then do it on Sunday. Okay? So, Monday, which is the 27th, is it? 26th. Okay, Monday the 26th, it will be due by 12 p.m. Okay? Because that's when I upload the answers for the other classes, because they have a class on Tuesday. So I need it by then. Okay?
You said lab report sheets whenever?
Whenever, because that, I don't...
By Sunday and then
yeah. Okay, so the lab report sheets, you technically have 2 weeks because it will be due on the Sunday before you come back to class. Okay? Because I don't upload the answers to that, so to me it doesn't matter. Okay? That's why. It's because critical thinking I upload the answers. Next week, remember you have, or not next week, the week when I see you again, your review sessions. Okay? Okay, let's talk about the urinary. Now let's talk about the urinary system or urinary organs. What organs are found within the urinary system? We have the kidney. So we have 2 kidneys. Both of the kidneys are retroperitoneal, meaning behind the peritoneum. Okay? Kidney is a site where urine is produced. Okay? Kidneys is a site where urine is produced. You have 2 kidneys. The 2 kidneys are bean-shaped organs. They look like a bean. Okay? This is why kidney beans are called for that particular reason. Okay? They look like kidneys. Now, from the kidneys, you have a vessel coming out. This vessel is called a ureter. ureter basically transports urine, okay, to the urinary bladder. So basically the ureters collect the urine from the kidneys and transport it to the urinary bladder. Now, urinary bladder is a storage site for the urine until you're ready to picture it, until you're ready to expel the urine. So it holds the urine. Now, the epithelium of urinary bladder is transitional epithelium. Okay? It's a special type of epithelium called transitional epithelium, and rest of it is made up of smooth muscle. And from the urinary bladder, we have a vessel coming out, which is called a urethra. Urethra. Urethra takes the urine from the urinary bladder and expels it. Okay? So these are the organs of the urinary system. Kidneys, you have two ureters, one urinary bladder, and one urethra. Okay? Now, the ureters and the urethra is also smooth muscle. Now let's talk about the urethra more in detail. Location. Now, the reason it's location is because in the male, basically, so here's the urinary bladder. This is a cross section. So of the pelvic region, there's a cross section. Okay, here's the urinary. This is a male. This is a female. Okay? Basically, here's a urinary bladder. Here's the urinary bladder in the females. Okay? Now this vessel right here is the urethra in males. As you can see, a certain portion of the urethra is found in this organ right here, which is called the prostate. So a portion of the urethra goes through the prostate, and that portion of the urethra is called the prostatic urethra, okay, because it goes through the prostate. Rest of the urethra goes through the penis, okay? This is why males who are, let's say, over 50, why do they have to have a rectal exam? Because they have to check the prostate, if the prostate is enlarged. Because when you feel it, you could tell if it's enlarged, it's compressing the urethra, and this is why they have urinary problems. Okay? Now, in the females, basically, it does not go through any particular organ. Okay? Now, you could see the length in males, the length of the urethra is extremely long, whereas females, the length is very short. Now, this length actually has a pro and con for both sexes. Okay, there's a pro and con for males. There's a pro and con for females. So those are the consequences. Let's say for a male, pro and con. What do you think the pro is? Okay, what is the benefit of having such a long urethra in males? Any idea? Exactly. So they can't get infections. It's much harder. What is a con for male? So, okay, the pro for a male was unable, or extremely hard to catch infections, right? Urinary tract infections. But that becomes a con in females. Because females have short urethra, and it's very close to the anus, where males it's not close to the anus, it's very easy for basically getting urinary tract infection. Okay? So for a female, that becomes a con. Easily getting or acquiring urinary tract infection because of its length and its proximity to the anus. Okay? What is a con in males, but that con becomes a pro in females? What if a male gets a kidney stone? Exactly. So, a kidney stone, can you imagine that kidney stone has traveled throughout this whole length? So it's very, very painful for a male. But for a female, because the urethra is very short, sometimes they don't even feel it, okay? Or if they feel it, it's very for a short time.
Is the male bladder a lot bigger than ours, than the females, or is that just the picture?
No, that's just a picture.
They're about the same size.
Depends on from one person to next, but there's no characteristic in that male have larger.
Man, guys are lucky.
No, nothing like that. But sometimes what happens, where this is the uterus of a female, the uterus can actually fall on the bladder. This is what happens usually when they're pregnant. By the time they have to go urine blood because now it's starting to compress. Where in the male, that doesn't happen. I probably just enlarged the photo more, or the photo. There's no thing like that. Okay. Now let's talk about the urine. What is the normal healthy color of a urine? It's light lemonish yellow. Okay? Light yellow. Okay, so now you see the normal composition of urine. The greatest amount is urea. You have ions in there, chloride ions, sodium, potassium. Then you have bicarbonate, protein, uric acid. Okay, these are normal composition. But what is that you will not find in a urine? Blood. Proteins. Okay, if blood is there, it indicates bleeding. If protein is there, it indicates basically the kidney is damaged. What else do you not find in a healthy individual, healthy urine? Sugar. If sugar is there, diabetes. What else do you not find? What else do you not find? White blood cells. If you find white blood cells, basically that indicates either there's some infection going on or there's inflammation. Infection or inflammation. And you don't find microbes. You don't find viruses, bacteria, fungi. If you do, that indicates that currently you have infection with that particular organism. Okay. Now, I don't mean if you have infection in the heart that you can find that microbe in the urine. No, it's the urinary tract infections. Okay. Now, kidney anatomy. I forgot to say when we're talking about the gallbladder is a sac-like organ and actually does look green. Okay? So just letting you know. Now, basically, this is the shape of a kidney. Now, kidney has a renal capsule. So, renal is a name for kidney. Okay? So, this is renal capsule. Renal capsule is a connective tissue that encloses the kidney. Now, these green structures are called the renal pyramids, and they're actually the medulla. They're the medulla of the kidney. So the kidney has a medulla, okay, and the medulla are called the renal pyramids. Now this area, okay, is called the renal cortex. It's called so right underneath the renal capsule, and before the renal medulla, you actually have the capsule. I mean the cortex. Okay? Now, I know that it's hard to understand, but these are minor calyxes. Okay? These are minor calyxes. Okay? Minor calyxes. Now, minor calyxes basically collect urine, or the urine drains into the minor calyxes. So if I say these two are the minor calyxes, okay? So they basically, the medulla, once it's done producing the urine enters the minor calyxes. Now, the minor calyxes basically are drained. So 2 or 3 minor calyxes are drained into major calyx. Okay? So imagine basically, so if I have these 2 water bottles, these are 2 basically minor calyxes, they fill with water. At one end, this end, they won't have a hole in it, okay? And right underneath it, let's say I have a big bucket. So as soon as fluid enters, it enters the minor calyxes, and the minor calyxes now drain into one big major calyx. Does that make sense? Okay, yes. Yes, okay, so the blue is the minor calyxes right here. Now let's say somebody else right down here has put a big bucket. That would be the major calyx. So 2 or 3 minor calyxes drain into a major calyx. Now the major calyx also has a hole at the bottom. Okay? So let's say right there's a hole. Okay? There's a hole. Okay, so it drains this way, it drains this way, and this part where the major calyx drains into is called the renal pelvis. Does that make sense? You guys understand the minor calyx, major calyx, and then the renal pelvis? Yes? Okay. So all the urine collects in the renal pelvis, and from the renal pelvis, let me kind of erase this part. From the renal pelvis, the urine drains into the ureter. Okay? Does that make sense? So the renal capsule, the renal cortex, renal medulla, they basically produce the urine. The urine drains into minor calyx. The minor calyx drains into major calyx. The major calyx now drains into the renal pelvis. This is where all of the urine collects. As soon as the urine has collected, it drains into the ureter. Okay? Now, this is the ureter is not the only vessel that enters or exits the kidney. You have basically renal artery, and you have the renal vein. Okay? So renal artery brings blood into the kidneys. Renal vein takes the blood away from the kidneys. Okay? The site where the vessels enter or exit the kidney, this portion right here is called the renal hilum. of kidney. You have the renal capsule, renal cortex, renal medulla, minor plexus, major plexus, renal pelvis, renal hilum, where the vessels either enter or exit the kidney. Okay? Any questions? Okay, now let's talk about nephrons. Nephrons are functional unit of a kidney. They're functional unit of a kidney, meaning this is what actually produces the urine. They actually produce urine. Now we have two different types of nephrons. We have cortical nephrons, and we have juxta medullary nephrons. You have cortical nephrons and juxtamedullary nephrons. Now, why are they termed this way? Cortical nephron, basically, let's say 80% of the nephron is located within the cortex, only 20% is found within the medulla. Okay? So it's 80 to 20%. 80% in the cortex, 20% within the medulla. And those nephrons are termed juxtamedullary nephrons. Short loop of Henle. Then I'll explain what loop of Henle is a little bit later. They produce, so another thing about cortical nephrons, produce dilute urine. Okay? Cortical nephrons tend to produce more dilute urine. Now, juxtamedullary nephron, it's like saying that 60% is located within, not 60, 40% is within the cortex and 60% is within the medulla. Okay, so it's 40-60 ratio. So we have two different types. In the juxtamedullary, the 40% of the nephron is found in the cortex and 60% of the nephron is found within the medulla. This is what they call juxtamedullary nephrons. Okay? They have long loop of Henle. Produce concentrated urine. Okay? Produce concentrated urine. So this is the difference between cortical nephrons and juxtamedullary nephrons.
What's that mean?
Concentrated. So this example, this photo does not show you cortical nephron. It only shows you juxtamedullary nephron. So you see 40% is located within the cortex, 60% is located within the medulla. Okay? And they have a long loop of Henle, and therefore they produce more of a concentrated urine. Okay, now we can talk about the nephron structure. It has multiple segments. A is afferent arterial. A is afferent arterial. It brings blood in. Afferent arterial brings blood into the glomerulus. We'll talk about what the glomerulus is a little bit later.